Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Is this Billy?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Steve Harris. I'm an interpreter for Rocking On Magazine.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. Billy, I've been provided with a list of questions by the magazine, and since I'm not the guy that thought these up, there may be some inconsistencies, and you might be able to help me out on a point or two.
All right.
Let's see here. All right. The guy notes here that I guess you lopped off most of your hair. He said he saw a picture of you recently. You've trimmed your hair, it says. Is there any special reason for that?
No.
No, just going for a new look, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I guess you wanted to start this off on a light tone.
Yeah.
The second album, Siamese Dream, is, he says, the first album, Gish, was a great album, but this is even better. Did recording go off without a hitch?
No, there were problems, but nothing that, didn't keep the album from getting finished.
What sort of problems did you encounter?
Oh, your typical internal band strife.
Huh. I mean, internal band strife is not that typical in many cases. What sort of specific problems were going on?
I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've given a lot of interviews where I talked about it in specifics, and I just decided I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay, but has the band gotten over those difficulties?
Yeah, because we're not recording an album right now.
Oh, I see. So it was a sort of a recording-specific mode you were in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when we have our most of our difficulties.
But now the album is completed. You guys are just back to normal.
Yeah, we're just on tour kind of thing, which is a lot. It's a different mode to be in as a band.
The themes or the concepts for this album. Did you just come up with those like right before you went into the studio, or did you spend a lot of time thinking about those?
No, I spent a lot of time. I mean, they were born over a couple of years of thinking about what the next album was going to be about.
Specifically, how long an interval was there between the first and second albums?
In terms of being done and then going to do a new one, 1.5 years.
Was that ample time for you, or did you want a little bit more time, or were you itching to get back in the studio? Or
no, it was plenty of time. It probably should have been shorter, but I freaked out. So
you freaked out, meaning
when I lost my mind.
Was that pressure because of the new album, or was there something else?
It was life and album combined. Yeah.
Well, sometimes people say that's when they create their best or most.
Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
So you got through musically. You got through that period in spite of the breakdown, rather than because of it.
I tend to think of it that way. Yeah.
But you don't think that you will have made your most enduring music as a result of that?
No, because the pain that I'm talking about has a lot more to do with my past than it does the present. So.
Okay. On Disarm, I guess this is the name of a song.
Yeah.
You use strings, which is I guess something you haven't tried before.
So that's incorrect.
Okay. Well.
Because there's strings on the first album. So I know you didn't write these questions, but a lot of people have made points of that, and it just seems silly to me because there were strings on the first album too.
Is that right? Well, maybe people want to believe that you've become more sophisticated, or
Yeah, I understand. I don't know. It's just I don't think it's that surprising if you think of music, but in a rock context, people are kind of surprised by it. I just don't think it's that big a deal. It's just if it's not a cello, it's a guitar. It doesn't really matter.
But are there more strings on this album, or is it about the same as before?
It's a little more lush sounding, but the only point I would draw from it is the idea that I don't really care whether the band can recreate the album live. It's not important to me anymore. So. Is
that right? Well, have you guys taken to the road since completing this album, or is there?
Oh yeah.
And how do the songs work in a live context?
We just play them with a different kind of point point of context kind of thing. I mean, if you like for example with Disarm on the album, it's a very kind of lush string arrangement and it has a lot of tension to it. Live we play it very bare bones, and it has a different kind of more in your face kind of tension because it's just guitar, voice, and drums and bass. So so it brings different essences out of the song. So that's why I'm not too hung up about it, because I think you can, by being forced to play the song differently with musical instrumentation, it brings out a different perspective on the song.
So in the case of Smashing Pumpkins, you guys are a different live band than you are on vinyl.
I'd say maybe like 80%. 80% the same, 20% different. Not tremendously different, but there is a different perspective. Yeah. We're a lot more aggressive live than we are on album.
Is that like a balance you'd like to keep, or would you like to see the two sides of the band sort of coincide more?
The way we're going, I only see the gap growing.
What do you think would account for that? More, you can do more stuff in the studio, and
I want to take advantage of the opportunity I have in the studio, and there's things that you could do in a controlled environment that you could never do live.
But do you think the average fan would have to come to a Pumpkin show to actually get the true essence of the band?
Well, see, I mean, to me, I think you've got to hear and see both. I think the sum of the two is probably what the band is truly. Being a rock band, it's not as easy in a live context to be subtle, because you've got people screaming, jumping up and down, and not necessarily in Japan, but at least in America and Europe, and so there's a different emphasis placed on the band to be more powerful and get across that way. Where an album, you don't have to necessarily reach for all those things to make those kinds of points. And so maybe in contrast to what we do live, maybe on the album we go a little further to show other elements of the band. So.
How about you as a fan? Have you always been smitten with bands or Dynamite Live? Or have you always been much of a concert goer, or were you more the record type?
Both. See, I the greatest bands to me transferred something in both ways. I mean, there's something about a band that's a great live band that puts out shitty records. There's a hole there. And same thing, if you listen to a record and it sounds great, and you see the band live and the band blows, then somehow it's not complete. But when a band can put it together on album, and then somehow, I mean, you can listen to a record up and down, and then you go see the band live, and somehow they take your perception of the album and expand and kind of twist it around. That's for me is really the mark of a great band.
That's interesting. Do any bands come to mind?
The best recent example would be Jane's Addiction, but they're really no more. I can't think of anybody right now that really does that. There's not too many bands that are really have that kind of mindset. One, because it takes a certain kind of non-indie kind of approach to be that kind of band, and a lot of bands these days are more concerned about maintaining their punk rock public posture.
So they're not supposed to compromise.
Well, and they're not supposed to. People put out pop records and then go on the road and try and turn them into punk rock shows. There's not a sophistication there. To me, it deals more in bass element, kind of, okay, time to be loud, and I don't know. That's what I'm saying. For a band to expand on your perceptions of what the band is, the band has to be pretty sophisticated to go beyond, because that means rearranging songs and changing the intent and the musical thrust of songs from show to show, and that takes a lot of work.
And that's obviously something you're striving for. Huh?
Yeah, I really and I talk to enough people that I'm getting my point across.
Mm-hmm.
So because to me, in thinking a lot about the whole idea is, with an album, it's the ultimate finite moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating something that's will always be that way. You cannot change it after that point.
Mm-hmm.
So you go for almost kind of this snapshot of the moment. But with the live band, once the album's done, I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Mm-hmm.
So with us, it's just like we rearrange the songs, we change the tempos. It also depends on where you play them in the set every night and things like that. So, and if the band can, as strange as it may sound, almost reinterpret the songs like as if you were covering somebody else's songs.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow filter that through whatever you're feeling 6 months after the album's been done or something. The songs can take on a different meaning, and the thrust of the song can be different. So that's kind of where we're at.
I see. You talked about an internal band strife, but do you have trouble getting the band to sort of act on your ideas in the live setting?
No, that's never been a problem. We have very few disagreements about what the band is live.
Mm-hmm. So when the band plugs in, things all sort of fall together, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was all that easy.
but
see that it's also born of the spontaneity and like the energy of the moment.
Right.
There's not a lot of time when people are screaming and stuff to dwell on the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
You're reacting a lot more from intuition.
I guess one thing about the truly good bands is that it's kind of like falling off a log. I mean, things just sort of click all of a sudden.
Well, yeah, I think I set up conditions for that to eventually happen. That's the way I kind of look at it. It was kind of a controlled log falling off. But I definitely do, and constantly try and push the situation into uncomfortable areas so that we're forced to react. That's why, like, we don't play with set lists and things like that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So
really?
it's always, the shows are always different, and and it's cool because nowadays a lot of people follow us around from show to show. So what they see on one show is not necessarily what they're going to see in the next show. They're not going to see the exact same thing every night. And I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, well, that's extremely unusual. I haven't heard about anything like that before. Doesn't that kind of keep things rather tense on stage?
Tense isn't the right word, but you're definitely on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you play the same show every night, you get into this kind of pattern of like robotic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and here's where we get loud, and and with us, it's whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
So you call the tunes.
Yeah, every song. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, usually the only thing we really do is we'll plan out maybe our, like 5 minutes before we go on stage, we'll plan out like the first 2 or 3 songs, just so that there's an immediate flow to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even sometimes I don't even make it through the 3 songs or 2 songs that we picked. By the time we get to the second song, I'm already changing it, just depending on like how I feel and then the energy of the crowd and things like that.
Has that ever backfired?
Oh yeah, I mean it can totally blow up in your face.
Like,
you can totally kill a show with your song selection.
Oh really?
Yeah, absolutely. You can totally take a show that's going along great and just ruin it.
But I mean, I would imagine you have a pretty strong following, and aren't they happy to hear just like any song you play?
Well, I don't know. That's going a little far, but.
Okay, let's get back to the songs here. Actually, there was a very sort of conceptual question, and I'm not sure, not quite sure the intent. Maybe you can help me here. The guy talks about like noisy guitar sound as usually being a means of expressing anger or frustration, but in your case, although you have that sort of a sound, sometimes it isn't necessarily a manifestation of anger or frustration.
Right.
So you understand what the guy's talking about?
Yeah.
What do you think he's getting at here? I mean,
well, it's just the idea that because sometimes I mean, people automatically think of loud guitars as like an aggressive thing, and a lot. Some of the songs in the album have really loud guitars, but yet the song doesn't sound aggressive at all. you know. And then there's things that are quiet, that are aggressive. It's, I just like the constant contrast. People are so locked into cliches, you know.
Right,
Oh,
right.
loud guitar must be angry young man. You know, I don't need to be that.
Yeah.
I'm just playing into somebody else's game or rules or whatever. So
You're looking for more like sonic dynamics, I guess.
yeah, I in my mind, the closest thing I can attribute to would be like if you're trying to paint a picture and what are you going to reach for? You know, every time you put red on a canvas doesn't mean it's angry.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it could be something else, and that's the thing. And I like breaking cliches, and I don't know.
Okay, so for you, it's just another coloring, another color.
Yeah, I'm not hung up on I need to rock. I need to prove what a man I am. It's not necessary.
The title of the album, Siamese Dream, the guy seems to think indicates like conflicting emotions or complex emotions.
Wrong.
Wrong. Okay. Well, why don't you clarify?
Well, it's kind of like you know, the feeling that exists between two people. That's, I mean, it could mean anything.
It's people sharing the same dream, like.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the dream between people. You know, people create relationships in their own head.
Is that the name of one song, or just the name of the album?
That's the name of the album. There is actually a song titled that, but we haven't released it yet.
How would this? Why would this one concept be used to name the entire album, though?
Because ultimately, the whole album kind of revolves around my perception of me in regards to everyone else, whether it be band, wife, family, and how those individual relationships.
So how you sort of share a commonality.
Right. I mean, and one person's one person's dream is another person's nightmare. You know, you engage in these kind of psychic connections between people, and people can influence you to the point where their presence dominates your life. You know, it's like just how you can hear your parents' head in your voice telling you don't do that kind of thing. And that's what I'm saying, and that to me, in a way, kind of summed up the influence and forces, not necessarily of people, but almost like you've got things attached to you that you can't necessarily let go of. That's why I like the Siamese connotation, because it can be good, and it can be bad. But you cut yourself. You know, it's like cut yourself in half and you die. You know, it's like you can draw a lot of parallels from it. I didn't sit and think that, but when that came to me, I thought, well, this really, in my mind, makes sense, and that's about as much as I thought about it. I've thought about it more since, just because I've been asked about it a lot.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So I guess any given person sort of exists as a result of inextricable ties to other people.
Right. Exactly.
Like emotional or otherwise.
Right. It could be a physical presence. It could be an emotional presence. It can. I mean, in America, we have the presence of American propaganda, American dream. Grow up, be successful. I mean, all those things. They're like your your soul twin. And maybe they push you to great things, or maybe they destroy you. And I like that idea that we almost live with this like beast on our back.
It's interesting though, because a lot of people in rock music tend to be more like loners, and their whole existence seems to be based on the idea that you're sort of born alone and you'll die alone, and you tend to rebel against conformity. Whereas this is the idea that we're all sort of linked together.
Absolutely.
Did there come a time in your life when you started coming to grips with this or recognizing this, or has it always been something you've been conscious of?
Well, I think that there is the reality, which is that my environment has always made me feel like a loner. You know, I definitely recognize that kind of like, why me, kind of, why am I a freak? And then there's the other side to it, which is the way that I feel inside, which is just like, I want to be able to move gracefully amongst, people of the world and not be, hated, disliked, and, for being a person. I don't know. It's a very general way to put it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wanting to get along with people, and I grew up wanting to be friends with people, and bit by bit was forced into little boxes, and you don't fit here, and that's and I could see where a lot of people would take that kind of attitude from the environment that surrounds them and take on that loner perception, and I did for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that beneath the surface of that I felt that way because there was a desire to link, and there really was a desire to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. In my mind, it comes down to a great respect for life and people, and I don't know. It can get very metaphysical, but
yeah. Well, it sounds like you could end up getting a lot of letters from fans about this. Do you think you have a very like a what would the word be? Maybe you have like a stronger following, a more committed following, I guess would be the expression, than other bands?
That's really hard to say because I don't follow any other bands close enough to know. But I do in my heart feel that there's there's a sense of identity to us because there's a part of us that people recognize in terms of that we do great things and we make great music, but there's another part where people really recognize that we're really not that different from them.
Mm-hmm.
The distance between me and some 15-year-old kid that I meet is not that great.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that bonds us to people and bonds them to us because, we're not playing the rock star myth game. We're not swayed. We're not, we're not trying to trump up and create a mythological image. I mean, we're really being ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about that combination of great things and a certain humility that creates for something that's not. I mean, most people go the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to create an alter ego or alter image that is like an extension of what they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's some reality thrown in, but usually it's like a blown-up cartoon character.
Right, or an exaggerated sense of theatrics. Or
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you think the average fan might just be rather inclined than to ask you for your autograph, would just sort of come up and sort of pat you on the shoulder and say, "Bill, good album. See you around, dude."
Well, both. I mean, it happens both. Some people just want to come and shake your hand.
Uh-huh.
Some people want to ask you, silly questions about what kind of guitars you play.
Uh-huh.
And some people want autographs.
Yeah. Comes in all shapes and forms.
But they're continually amazed that you'll actually talk to them like they're a human being.
Mm-hmm. Question here about the titles of the songs. They're all rather simply titled, as this guy knows, just like Hummer, Rocket, Mayonnaise, Silverfuck, etc. Is this paradoxical? That is, are these intentionally simple names attached to the songs because the songs themselves are about complex things?
Right. Yeah. That's a very good assessment.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Like he says, for example, in the same song, you'll have contrasting elements, sort of a dualism. You'll have brightness and darkness. You'll have this very static feeling and dynamic feeling at once.
That's true, and that's why I like the ambiguity of having one-word titles because, it's like an umbrella. It throws an umbrella over the song, and then underneath that, the lyrics are the song.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people seem to, that seems to be a thing that people want the song summed up in the title. The day you broke my heart and made me cry. And I haven't been able to write those kind of titles yet.
You can't come up with those great parenthetical things.
No.
Okay, well, good. We finally got a question right here. Let's now that we're on a roll, let's go on to question number 9. The lyrics seem to be more concerned with the metaphorical or the idea of fantasy rather than reality.
I disagree.
Okay, that's the first half of it. Do you have? It says, are you inhibited about singing about your frustrations, the frustrations that come from daily living? He seems to assume that since you don't sing about the frustrations in daily life, you're more concerned with the fantasy side of life.
Oh, I disagree.
Okay, well,
maybe he's misunderstanding it to the point that if I had to choose in what I would concern myself with, I would concern myself with probably a broader understanding of the subject than like the most minute details.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you can talk about like how you got in a fight with your girlfriend, but you can also talk about like why you're a fucked up person, and why you're bitter, and why you get in those kind of fights.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. And so I try to reach for a little more depth. But to me, to write about daily living is to be mundane. But I would hardly call it fantasy, and there's nothing in there about dragons and elves. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, well, maybe it's because you change your perspective, and that sort of.
Well, but that's me being as objective as I can be, first person.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm singing about my life, but I'm doing it as an objective way to bring in all sides of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Because to play the angry young man is to really limit yourself to a singular idea, which probably is not the right one. Most truths to me are a combination of elements. They're not one point of view.
And that obviously gets back to the title there, the idea of
And there you go. It does all kind of link in on a philosophical level.
The question 10 here says that there is a sort of a spiritual depth to each song. That suggests the idea that there's pain and frustration in like reality.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the case for you? I mean, I that's a rather shallow way of looking at it. Obviously, your sense of reality is not colored exclusively by pain and frustration.
Right.
But does that element come out in your music?
Sure. I don't know how else to answer that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, I think we're getting a little bit vague here. But I think he's leading up to this next question, which asks, does this idea of pain and suffering have anything to do with your actual experiences in life thus far?
Well, I mean, I can answer both those questions by saying there's nothing that I write about that isn't true, and there's nothing I write about that hasn't really happened to me. So,
I would imagine that the songs are inspired by any of a number of experiences, from mundane experience to sort of heavier stuff.
Right. I mean, to me that life exists on an amazing number of levels. I mean, you can exist on it as simple level as I get up, I go to work, so I can pay my rent and I can eat, or you can try and understand like why people create art. What is it about the human psyche that drives us to like try and understand why we even bother to mire in the mud, so to speak. And so, does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, that does. I think you touch on a crucial point there, because artists often are constantly sort of asking themselves and asking their fans through the music, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I mean, really, why? I mean, part of the reason I do it is because I love art. I love to create something that I would consider new. There's another part of me that likes the release of the aggression and the release of just whatever is inside me. Another part of me does it because I'm insecure and I need to have approval from 10,000 people at a time.
Yeah, well, certainly with music you can achieve the sense of sheer scale, and I think a lot of musicians do ask themselves the question, why is it music that I've chosen as my medium?
Right. I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not really hung up on that. If it wasn't music, it would have been something else. But I love music. I always have, and it's what I do. But I don't know.
Is the song Geek USA about despair?
No.
Okay. Wrong.
It's about it's kind of about how the way America is that if you basically are not you don't fall into 2 or 3 categories, that there's something wrong with you. Our school system, our system of value is not created around the brilliant and the artistic. It's created around, those who can take tests well.
So it's about alienation.
It's if you go even further, it's about having been through that process, wishing that you could go back and start over, and wishing you were dumb, deaf, and blind, and you could just start over because your system of value has so been corrupted by being put through the ringer, somebody's idea of what the ringer should be, and you waking up as an adult and realizing that all the lessons you were taught, the things that are important and all these things, is all a bunch of crap.
But isn't the realization that everything is wrong proof that you have stumbled onto some sort of a reality, some sort of a truth?
Well, realizing what you don't like doesn't mean you necessarily know what you do like.
Well, it seems like kind of a cynical perspective.
Well, it'll do it to you.
Okay. Porno for Pyros, I guess debuted at number 3 in the charts, and then Primus came in at number 7 or something here. It says, and Lollapalooza is a great success, and everybody seems to be talking about this, the golden new age of alternative music, or the upward surge of the alternative scene.
Right.
Is this cause for optimism on your part, or do you distance yourself from that scene?
I think anything ultimately survives or thrives on how good the talent is. I mean, 5 years ago, rap seemingly was, at least in America, was the focus of a lot of artistic attention, and at the time seemed fresh and groundbreaking. And now it's grounded into such a cliche formula that it's no longer considered a valid new art form. It's just been absorbed into, the big crucible that is the music business. And I think alternative music has headed that way.
Yeah.
And what will perpetuate whether alternative music as like a field of music is going to continue, is whether the bands continue to be innovative and reach new audiences. But the fact that suddenly people are selling lots of records doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing a good job of it. I mean, you have to recognize that bands in 1985 were breaking down doors to make it possible to achieve bigger audiences. And then, slowly over time, people have come to accept alternative music in general as like something that's not too scary.
Do you have any problem with that category, that pigeonhole, alternative music?
Well, not really, in the sense that I still consider it meaning, not the mainstream. But alternative music itself is becoming very cliche. I mean, we've faced it enough where it's like if you play loud, you're a grunge band. But anybody who knows anything about the differences in the American music scene know that we're not a grunge band. But just because grunge is the number one focus of rock music, anybody else who plays loud is grunge. That's what I mean. It's also silly. I distance myself away from it as much as I can because to me it's not really important. Because I've heard it a million times. It really comes down to how good your songs are. And if you write good songs, it's been proven that bands with great songs are the ones that last in people's memory. I mean, just because like a band like Television had a different aesthetic, but yet they wrote great songs, people still listen to Television, or the Velvet Underground, or Bow Wow Wow, or whoever. It doesn't really matter.
Do you think?
Because this is the thing. In America, as soon as Nirvana became very popular, and then Pearl Jam, suddenly everyone predicted that there would be 40 other bands, selling millions of records. Well, it hasn't happened. In fact, what we've had is like second generation, post MTV grunge, whatever catchwords you want to use.
Yeah.
So all we've done is we've not spawned a new generation of creative people. We've spawned a new generation of imitators. And
I guess the media is to blame for a lot of that. I
think the media is the ultimate culprit. I really do, because You get any media person on the side, and they know the difference between what's shit and what's real.
Mm-hmm.
But they're the first ones to perpetuate myths.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the first ones to not criticize, lest they not get that interview for their magazine.
I see, yeah.
And different things spin the wheels around than the way that it looks on the outside.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And most music fans think that bands get magazine articles and record deals based on their merit,
mm-hmm.
when everyone else on the inside, and who's everyone's basically in collusion trying to perpetuate this myth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, winding down to our last few questions here. Siamese Dream is, I guess, being carried by Virgin. Virgin is like its top priority. It's being handled as sort of a top priority, first priority project. How do you feel about this? Are you honored by it, or is it?
I feel I earned it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we toured for a year and a half. Our record sold 350,000 copies on an independent in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, they'd be ridiculous to not push it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nirvana's first album sold 20,000 copies.
Right.
So a band comes along and an independent sells 350,000 copies. They'd be really stupid to not try and push the band.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't look at it as like, whatever. It's like, we earn the right just in strict terms of business.
Right. I guess the reason why he asked if it was something you wouldn't be pleased with, because it sort of carries the smell of money or commercialism or something like that.
No, I think, that's another one of those indie kind of, those alternative music myths.
Mm-hmm.
I think if a band, is true to itself,
mm-hmm.
then what's the difference if the record company wants to throw lots of money in it? It doesn't necessarily take away from the artistic merit.
Right.
And if the band deserves it, then the band should be afforded every opportunity to be exposed to people,
mm-hmm.
and so that people can have the opportunity to judge. Because there's been plenty of bands through history where the record company threw gobs and gobs of money on promotion and tried to trick everybody into writing about them, and then the band didn't sell a fucking record.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, it has nothing to do, in the end result with media. As somebody still has to go into a record store and buy one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All the money in the world is not going to change that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. I mean, we ultimately survive or break apart on our own merit, not whether Virgin decides that we're a priority.
Yeah.
Because we sold a lot of records when we weren't a priority.
Mm.
So.
There's a question here about, it seems to be predicated on the idea that you're some kind of a hero, because it says, do you think a hero is created by the media, or is it's just something, or there's just like a category of people who were born to be that way?
Well, the media creates a lot of paper tiger heroes,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are heroes that are recognized as heroes long after everyone panned them.
I wonder why this question came up, though. I mean, are you kind of recognized as some sort of a hero or savior of the alternative?
No, I think I'm recognized as kind of an, to use the word, alternative voice.
Mm-hmm.
And, what my status, has never proved to be one to my liking. So I've just gotten accustomed to, this kind of underdog.
But I mean,
so I hardly consider myself a hero. I'm not championing any causes.
Yeah.
My ultimate concern is the promotion and the involvement of my band in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the propaganda, head for our little unit here. And then the secondary goal is to maybe express some ideas that will give someone an idea of what really goes on in the music business,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to the myth that everyone likes to continue to perpetrate.
Yeah. Well, this, I guess, this overlaps with what you were talking about a second ago. One of the great myths of the alternative scene is that this idea of commercialism as death. But I think there is sort of an ongoing search for the idea of a band with integrity. And maybe what this guy is referring to is the idea that at last there is an alternative band with integrity coming to the fore.
But in America, a lot of people completely disagree, and a lot of people think that we don't have any integrity because they don't like the way we've handled our business affairs and stupid shit like that. You know, so that's what I'm saying. A lot of this talk is all insider talk. To the 15-year-old kid in the middle of Iowa, which is where I was last night, he could give a fuck. All he knows is he likes the band, the songs sound good. Every once in a while he hears some lyrics that mean something to him. He goes to the show, the band kicks ass, and he walks away feeling like, you know, he's in 1% alive than he was the day before. That's what music did for me, and sooner or later, out of all that kind of, you know, propulsion from whatever things I found in the culture around me, I, you know, got around to finding myself. And that's the ultimate thing. You know, all this other bullshit is just a lot of webs spun to sell magazines and sell records. You know, that's what I'm saying. Magazines are in collusion with bands, and you know, when you're in, and when you're out, you're out. And I don't know. It's just it's you know, I'm not here to be like the debunker of all the myths. You know, it's not my job, but I can't play party to a lot of the whole business.
Since the media blew the Seattle thing out of proportion, people are starting to talk about where a band comes from. It really wasn't a focus of interest before.
Right.
Do you think that the fact that you guys are from Chicago, which I'm not sure is true or not, is that an important factor in knowing or recognizing what your music is about?
Well, the funny thing is people are starting to talk about Chicago now, and they say the only unifying thing in Chicago is that there is no unity. So
in other words, the answer to the question is no.
Yeah. I mean, there is no unity in Chicago.
But you guys are from Chicago proper, then, from the city. I see. That doesn't make for any sort of a palpable feeling of tension in your music or something like that?
No. Too much is made of that.
Yeah, okay. Then there are still some people under the mistaken impression that you're a grunge band. You were talking about that a second ago. I guess that's just sheer ignorance.
Yeah.
Okay, and it says here that your release date unfortunately overlaps with the new Nirvana album. Is that a problem at all?
I don't really care. I mean, Engelbert Humperdinck, Nirvana, Perry Como.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Last question, number 20. This will put a cap on it. He wants short comments on each of the following bands.
No, I won't comment on any other bands.
You won't comment on any bands?
No.
Really?
No.
Is that why is that a matter of policy?
Because, I mean, my opinion really shouldn't matter.
Really? I mean, you don't comment at all about, like, what maybe they have something significant to say, like you might say, oh, one of the great bands of our time or something like that?
Yeah, but then I have to answer the questions where I have to say I think they suck.
I see. Okay.
No thanks.
Yeah, okay.